Alright, what we want to do in this modeling a situation with a bar model or tape diagram is really establish what our 100% in every situation is, and then look at the change that's occurring, the increase or the decrease, and come up with a model that makes sense to kind of represent that situation. So we're going to look at a couple of situations where Charlie is mowing some lawns. So the first situation here is Charlie is increasing the number of lawns he's mowing. So this year, Charlie saw an increase of 25% in his lawn mowing business, right? So we're going to model this first. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to set this up with a tape diagram. So I'm going to set this rectangle here, okay? And I'm going to say that this is my 100%, okay? And so to do that, I'm going to use a little text box here, and I'm going to put 100%. Now I've established that this is my 100% and that that's how much this bar represents. So now I need to get this 25% increase, which means 25% of this 100%. Percents don't exist without some context attached to them. They are always connected to a real life situation. So if somebody says there is 80% chance of something, or an 80% increase, or a 20% decrease, it's always connected to something real. So it's always a percent of something else, which means that you're taking parts of groups, either all the group, like 100%, more than the original, which would be greater than 100%, less than the original, which would be less than 100%. So it's important that we understand that. So we're going to create 125% because it's a 25% increase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this so that it's the same size, and that's about 50%, which means that's about 25%. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to a different color, and then I'm going to snap it onto the end. Okay? And I'm going to use copy paste a lot because it's easier, and I'm going to call this 25%. Right? Now, this whole piece, okay, represents 125%. Right? So I'm going to start here. I'm going to get this. I'm going to rotate it around. If you hold the shift key, then it rotates in nice numbers, right? And so now I'm going to drag this down here, and then I'm going to call this 125%. Okay? So the total is 125% of the original. So if my original business had 25 lawns that I mowed, then I would be taking 25% of that amount and increasing it. Okay? So let's look at another example. Charlie decreased the time it takes to mow a lawn. Okay? So he saw a decrease of 25% in the time that it took him. So he's mowing faster. Right? So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to first establish our 100%. So we're going to start with our shape, and we're going to make a bar model out of this. So that's going to be the 100% right there, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm still going to find 25% of this because we're still talking about the time, the lawn mowing. It's still part of the 100%, which is really important, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bar model here, and I'm going to set up 25%. There's 50%, and that's about 25%. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? And I'm going to change the color of this, okay? And so now, okay, if that's my 25% decrease, right, now this right here represents the time that it took me, because this is the time that I'm not spending anymore. Okay, so let's establish this right here. Okay, so 100%. Okay, and I'm going to use that bracket. Actually, you know what I'll do is I'm going to use this bracket. Whoop, use this bracket here, okay? And we will still call this 100%. Okay? And then we'll still call this 25%. Okay? Which means now that this right here is actually 100% minus 25%, or 75%. Okay, so this part represents 75%. This is 25%. Combined together, it's 100%. Okay, so setting up our number sets is what we're going to do next. So let's look at this. Charlie saw an increase of 25% in his lawn mowing business. Last year he had 12 lawns to mow. So if he had an increase, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take these guys right here, and I'm going to copy those, and I'm going to paste those right in here. So this is my original. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my text boxes, and I'm going to set these up kind of inside here like this. So this is 12 right in here. Okay, that's 12. And 25%, which is this piece right here, right? That's 25% of 12. 25% of a group. 1/4 of a group, right? Which means the 25% right here is 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up here. Okay, and we're going to call this 25% of 12. Okay, that's what this amount represents. So in terms of, let's do some calculation, right? If I was going to do some calculation, I can set my percents as decimals. So 0.25 is my percent, right? And I'm taking a group of 12. And so once I set that up, I take 0 and 25 hundredths, or 1/4, times 12, and I get 3. So this 25% actually equals 3. So now my lawns to mow, how many did he mow? Well, this year, Charlie is mowing 12 plus 3 lawns. That's how many lawns he's mowing. And that is 15. So Charlie would be mowing 15 lawns this year instead of 12. It's a 25% increase. Okay. All right, let's look at our next question here. The next question is a decrease of 25%. So it's the same situation. So we're going to come back here. Okay, I'm going to grab this information. Right, that model is still the same. It still represents what we're doing. So I still have 25%. I still have 100% total. This represents my 75%. So this year, Charlie saw a decrease of 25% in the time that it took. So last year, it took him 60 minutes to mow a lawn. Okay, so I'm going to do something here. I'm going to slide this down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to slide this down. We'll go ahead and slide this down. So we can kind of look at these as separate pieces. Okay, so this is still my 25%. Okay, and then I'm going to move this down here to kind of represent this. So I'm going to go and I'm going to set this up here. And I'm going to pull this down like this. And let's change this color so that it's something else. Okay. And then I'm going to send it to the back so that my stuff shows up. Okay. So this is my 75%. Okay, and this is my 25%, and this is my 100%. So it says last year it took him 60 minutes. So the 60 minutes here, that is this amount. $60 minutes. And if I wanted to find that 25%, it's 25% of my 60, which means it has to be less than the 60 minutes. So it's going to be 1/4 of that, right? Or 25% of that, of a group of that. And so we can again go back and use our calculators to do the computation. But representing it kind of makes some sense, should make sense. So here's what we're going to do. Let's put in an expression here. This shows what we're going to do. So I'm going to say that 25% of 60, right? That's what I'm looking for. And so I'm going to say that's 0 and 25 hundredths times 60, right? Now when we do that, I end up with 15 is equal to 25%. So there's my 15. That's this amount. So the question isn't even posed. I could ask you a question that says, how many minutes less is it taking him? And the answer is 15. I could ask a question that says, how many minutes is it now taking him to finish a lawn? Well, that's going to be something different, right? That's going to be something like $60 minus the 15 minutes, which is 45. So I might have a question that asks, how long does it take him to mow lawns now? I might have a question that asks him, how many minutes is he saving every time? So the questions are different. Now, what's interesting is that this 45 right here, that's 45 minutes. Right there. I'm going to go ahead and spread that out. So 75% is 45 minutes. And 25% here, that is 15 minutes. Okay, so 25% is 15 minutes. 45% or 75% is 45 minutes. Together, it's 100%. Together, it's 60 minutes. So all of this works by establishing some known amount. What do I know? I knew 60% was, 60 minutes was 100%. And knowing that, I could then calculate the rest of these pieces. Okay? So if I was going to take this one, though, and let's say I said, I wonder what 75% of 60 is. Right? What is 75% of 60? Well, it's right here. It's 45 minutes. Which means if I was to say 75 hundredths, right, times my 60 minutes, my total, right, then I would get 45. So I can calculate this in multiple ways as well. I can subtract my 25% and then calculate it, or I can subtract the percent and then do the calculation from the 100%. So there's no one right way to do this. But what matters is that we can represent it, and then how you choose to solve the problem then becomes very clear. I can take 75%, right? Or I can take 25% and then subtract. Either way works, okay?